Our next inductee to the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame is Cleo Chico Vaughn. Cleo was a stunning three-sport athlete who was the first African-American to play basketball and letter at The Ohio State University. Born in Athens, Alabama in the Depression era, Cleo's family moved to Lima, Ohio, where Cleo would become a first-team All-State basketball player at Lima Central High School. Cleo was All-State mention in baseball and football as well. Next, Cleo received a scholarship from Ohio State University. Unfortunately, Cleo injured his knee in a 13-point performance versus Butler University and was limited to 14 games as a sophomore. The next fall, he decided not to continue his career and instead enlisted in the U.S. Army. After serving in the military, he inked a $4,000 bonus contract with the New York Yankees organization and played for 2 seasons with the Class B Modesto, California Reds. Cleo took advantage of the GI Bill benefits to complete his education and college basketball eligibility at Alabama A&M. Cleo averaged 31 points per game as a guard and also played on the football team. Chico eventually settled in Toledo and founded the Chico Vaughn Educational Basketball Camp, where he shared his blessings and encouraged youngsters to pursue higher education, to avoid drugs, and overcome inherent racism. Vaughn passed away surrounded by his loving family on June 29, 2010, at the age of 77. He enters the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame posthumously. Please join me in welcoming Cleo Chico Vaughn to the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame. His son Tommy is going to accept the award tonight for his late father.
First, this is marvelous. It's great. And Miss Sheila and Doc, great job. Congratulations to all the inductees. MC Sean, you're running the point really well. You're running the point, good job. What I really want you guys to know most about my father is that, I mean, we all know back in 1954, 52, there were some rough times for a 19-year-old kid. Let's face it, I mean, it was real brutal. But through all that, his experience and all that, he never played the victim. He never held a grudge, any of that. Matter of fact, the second part of his life, he devoted it to the elderly and the youth. And through that, over 25,000 kids ran through his camps, the whole nine. But he never made it about himself. Matter of fact, I didn't know this until my junior year of high school. My buddies, Dennis Hobson, Jimmy Jackson, those guys had no idea. He never made it about himself. He always made it about somebody else, you know. So with that being said, I'm just so proud of the things that he did, and I'm continuing to do that through my organization. And I brought somebody along with me today who interviewed my father while he was in hospice. He was the last person to interview my father, so, and he's been big instrumental in everything that we've been going and doing. So, and one more note is that you guys can look up Cleo Vaughn on YouTube. You'll learn a lot more. It's a 4-minute piece on there by a very talented producer, writer. Matter of fact, he's back there from LA, Marcus Amick. And it's just a brilliant piece, man. You'll learn a lot about him. I mean, more. It's just, you got to learn about this guy. It's amazing. But with that being said, this is the last guy to interview my father in hospice. And he's been with us through everything. And we've named him Lee Caryer. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Tommy. It's an honor to be up here and talk about Chico a little bit. I'd like to say to the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame, you did a great job on his biography. I imagine you did the same thing on everyone else's. So everyone who's here, read about these people. I'm not going to repeat anything that's in there, but I will say, yes, he did know the people at Motown. And I've been a fan of Motown since the late 50s, which is when they were formed. And Marvin Gaye did a song called What's Going On. In the early 70s, it was a turbulent time. It was a time of Watergate. It was the time of Vietnam. It was a time of busing. And there was a lot of strife. And that the song gets you to think about what was going on. Well, in the background of the song are a bunch of Marvin Gaye's buddies who act like they're having a party. And if you go to YouTube, as Tommy suggested, another place, go to What's Going On. And I think it's Chico Vaughn who says, "Hey, baby, what's happening?" You can check on that. I wanted to start a little light because I want to get serious now. And that is that in the 50s, it was very difficult to be black. Everywhere. We're talking about basketball, so let's do that. Imagine being a player who the opponents hated before they got to know him, and the opposing coaches didn't like, and the opposing crowds didn't like at all, and some of your teammates didn't like. Well, that's on the basketball court, and it was really worse in real life. The things that got to me when I talked to Chico were the hotels. One hotel says, "You folks can't stay here." Finally, they said, "Okay, he can stay here, but he can't leave his room, and don't you dare go in the dining room." There was another hotel that said, "He can't have a room here. We'll put him in the basement." That's where he slept. That's where he ate his meals. So it was a difficult time, an unfairly difficult time. What Chico Vaughn did, though, is set the opportunity for other blacks to go to Ohio State. Some went, and things didn't work out too well. Then Joe Roberts, David Barker came 4 years after Chico, and they both graduated. Roberts played every game of his senior year, or every game of his entire career, all 3 years, and was the first captain and the first to play in the NBA. This is Black Buckeyes. The bridge between Chico Vaughn and Joe Roberts was Fred Taylor, who, when he was hired as the recruiting coordinator, said, "I'll take the job. I'd love to take the job, but you have to guarantee that I get the right to recruit players who are sound academically and can play in the Big Ten." All players. He got that promise. Ohio State started to go in the right direction. When Chico, how was I going to say this? I'm sorry, I lost track. When Chico had his camps that Tommy referred to, Chico gave them contracts. He called it an NBA contract. That got their attention. NBA stood for never be absent. Those are the kinds of things that Chico was teaching. When Joe Roberts came along, or I'm sorry, when Fred recruited Chico, he was turned down twice. Then Cleo said, "I'm going to work, I'm going to help my family." The third time Fred Taylor went back, he talked to Mom and Grandma. Cleo was on his way to Ohio State before he knew it. He set the stage for Joe Roberts. Joe Roberts arrived, and that was a struggle too, because he didn't want to go to Ohio State. He was from Columbus East. He didn't want to go to Ohio State. Fred convinced him. I wasn't looking at you. Well,
He would talk for hours.
the last sentence. Joe Roberts, Mel Knoll came to Ohio State. They won the national championship in 1960. They were the two blacks on the team, and Cleo Vaughn set the stage for that.
Thank you.